Hello, fellow adventurers. Welcome to a brand new day. I am back at the beach and it is 80 degrees, not cold and rainy like before. And over on the river, we have a ship coming through and a little tugboat in the back if you can see it. You don't see those every day. But I'm here again to share with you a poem that I wrote called Fruit or Death. Bear with me because it's a little windy. I don't want my papers blowing away. Alrighty. Let's see. A certain king stepped off his throne to travel to a distant land. He planted a vineyard with his own hands down in the dirt, mud, and sand. Rows and rows of seeds were sown. This vineyard would grow so grand. He then built a wine press next to extract the king's demands. To protect his precious vineyard, the king put up a fence, guarded by a watchtower now, beautiful vineyard with great defense. The king stepped back and admired all his wonderful work. His heart filled wide and warm, he couldn't help but smirk. Satisfied with what he built, the king hired some farmers to oversee and run his land. To them he bestowed his honor. Then the king went back home, all affairs he left in order, to wait the time of fruit harvest, but time birthed chaos, disorder. The hired farmers hardened their hearts. They forgot this was king's land. They guarded the fruit as if their own. No one but they would dare lay a hand. So when the time of harvest drew near, the king sent some servants back to retrieve the fruit he invested in, abundance of what he would not lack. But the evil farmers forgot their place. They seized all of the servants, mistreated and beat, stoned and killed. Darkness turned them all to serpents. Another attempt, with more than before, ended in the same exact fate. The king, enraged, then sent his son to set the record straight. They will respect my son, the king was being hopeful, but unfortunately, the son met his end all too woeful. The tenants wanted to take what was not rightfully theirs. They wanted the son's inheritance. They wanted to be millionaires. Grabbed the son, the farmers did, and threw him out beyond the fence. Murdered outside the vineyard, a bloody turn of events. When the king found out everything that had happened to his son, he gathered up his army guards. Vineyard conquest had begun. The king himself came back with help. He brought his fiercest army. With a single word, they slay on command like a humanoid tsunami. The wretched farmers met a wretched end, for they disobeyed the king. To cultivate and produce fruit, they failed in this very thing. The penalty for such was death, so the king gave the word. With swift movement the army striked, lines of blood on the ground blurred. Then the king found other farmers with hearts and motives pure, ones who will share his fruit, harvest time blessings ensured. To these he gave the keys to operate in these gifts, to cultivate and produce much fruit, the vineyard's much needed shift. For the king desires harvest with abundant fruit to share, for all his kingdom to enjoy. This is his very prayer. The kingdom will be taken away from all who choose to do evil, those who refuse to release their fruit, locked up dungeon, medieval. But those with open hearts and mind who choose to freely give will inherit the kingdom of God, born of light to surely live. For God the King takes no pleasure with anyone who holds back, for freely he gave the gift of blood to save us from the black. We are that king's vineyard, handcrafted by his hands, filled with fruit and gifts. In his kingdom we are his lambs. The heart of God is for us to shine, all our talents, fruit, and light, to share with all who are in need. This brings him great delight. So which side of the king's sword will you choose to be on? Will you choose to serve the light at the break of dawn? For the king will surely return at the end of the age. Will he find your faith or be filled with rage? For God's kingdom is full of order, mighty, just, and fair. There is no room for darkness, consequences you can't bear. So shine your light and use your gifts. Do not bury in the sand, for a fearful thing it is to fall into God's hands.
And there's the ship.